Hey bitches, y'all must have seen the thumbnail, y'all must have read the title and thought, what is that boy thinking? Because I feel like I am kind of known as the Mother Teresa of Oracle decks on TarotTube. Let me tell you what I was thinking. As you can see, there's this whole selection of Oracle decks in front of me. I was still a little bit... Sometimes I think about things. Sometimes I think about things and I go... And I think about things too long. And I was filming my Forever decks video. And there were quite some Oracle decks in there. And I was like, you know, I still sense a lot of Oracle hate amongst fellow tarot tubers. And I was like, where does that Oracle deck hate come from? Because when I look at the decks in my Forever decks selection, those oracles are very, very mindful creations that offer great guidance, that really help, that help me as much as a tarot deck can. So why aren't oracle decks that respected? And then it kind of dawned on me that there are like certain ways of going about the creation of an oracle deck that can kind of put people off. And I would like to talk about those today because, like I said, a deck like the Threads of Fate Oracle or the Mystic Midnight Oracle or the Moon deck, those decks, or the Field Guide deck, those decks ooze sincerity and passion and collaboration. Whereas sometimes certain Oracle decks don't. And I kind of want to do a deep dive into why. And I actually have... this one's part of this, this too, and this one is as well. But there's kind of two categories. I'm going to clear this mess up in a bit. But there's kind of a couple of categories. So the first one is the commissioned decks. So those are decks that had commissioned art. Let's see. This is not part of that. This definitely is. This definitely is. And that's a really great bridge because this is the one that kind of started it all. This is not. This is not. This is not. This is as well as these. So let's keep those two categories. Well, the Lucy Cavendish, Jasmine Beckett Griffith decks are kind of weird because they don't really belong. But let's just start with, let me grab the, well, do I need to grab the Isis Oracle because it's in the same category as the Kali Oracle, and I believe we've all seen this a million times. So, when I talk about an earnest collab versus commissioned, maybe we could also have... Well, they all kind of are like that, but I would like to keep some of them separate. Commissioned can either mean that the writing was commissioned, or can also mean that the art was commissioned. Now, why would you commission art for a deck? For example, look at Kara Simmons from the Perry Majesty and the Grandmother's Oracle. She can write a good deck. She's a really good writer, and she likes to work in co-creation with illustrators to create decks because she cannot draw. She has done some decks before where I believe she sort of tried to do the drawing herself, and I don't really believe those were very hot sellers, although content-wise they might be amazing, but they never really reached the public like her current decks. So she looks for an artist that she wants to work with and turns that into it becomes sort of this back and forth. So you kind of meet up with the artist, that can be digitally or physically, and you kind of discuss your ideas. Like, I kind of been thinking about creating a deck like this, and I have an outline right here, and I need art sort of in this style that I've seen you do before, and I like that a lot. And you make up a contract, and you probably do a set price, and then the artist starts drawing art for the card, sometimes while you are also writing your guidebook paragraph. Sometimes you've already finished the writing for the full deck, and the artist will send, preferably card by card, the images, and will have little discussions with you on why that art is right or not, and what you're maybe missing. And usually that's all in an agreed upon price up front. Now, where it becomes a bit less earnest, in my opinion, because it's no longer a collab, is, for example, I'm going to put these two to the side so they're not in frame anymore, just like that. Yeah. Well, you can still kind of see the shadow, but whatever. Aesthetics are like so 2015. Who cares anymore? For example, a lot, if not most, of Doreen Virtue's decks are like that, where Hay House did something really smart, which thank God they've stopped doing. And I have to say most publishers have stopped doing. So we're not even talking writing yet, right? Because sometimes the quality of the writing is meh, but we're talking art now. What they did was, typically, an Oracle deck has 44 cards, so what they would do is they would commission 35 different artists to draw something or create something, but I don't think that's what happened. They look for artists that already have drawn a lot of angels or that aren't too expensive, and they either ask, hey, can we use this pre-existing art for a set license fee? Or, hey, could you draw something new and that we can then pay you for and use for a set license fee, or preferably a one-off price? And I like to think, if they were smart business people, all of these were one-off prices. So, you're going to get like $1,000 for it, and that'll be that. And we'll print your name in the guidebook so people know where to find you, so you'll get exposure. And for a multi-million selling author like Doreen, that was a great opportunity, because many of these artists have since gone on to do bigger commission jobs for other Oracle deck creators, or have created their own. For example, Cheryl Yambrook Rose, she has created a couple of her own decks, and she kind of got her head start with the Doreen Virtue decks. Most artists, though, never got that big break. However, that's kind of how they started, and it starts feeling a little, and we're only just talking about the guidebook here. We're not even, or we're talking about the art. We're not even talking about the guidebook, where sometimes you can kind of think, is the quality of the writing that good? Well, for what it is, this is probably one of her better decks. Her earlier decks were kind of still full of spark and spunk. And yes, they are all positive messages, but, it's an angel deck. It's kind of part of that deal. But, that before her decks, the Oracle deck genre was, you didn't have that many Oracle decks coming out. Not like this. This really set the tone for what the market was going to be like. Another example of what I believe to be a 100% purely marketed deck is the marketed. Well, it's marketed very well, but I was going to say commission deck is a lot of Jimmy Manton's work for Blue Angel Publishing. I believe that he got maybe he'd, honestly, for this deck, it doesn't even feel like he got card write-ups. I honestly believe that he got an assignment to draw 44, well, this one is pretty apt, pretty accurate, but I believe that he got an assignment to draw 44 Kali Hindu-based inspired drawings. And they would just slap those onto the cards. Why do I say it like that? I love his art. A lot of people hate his art. I like it. But a lot of the stuff in this deck is not accurate. It's not very often the emanations aren't depicted age appropriately. This one doesn't make sense at all. Nowhere in the guidebook is it mentioned what this or who this being might be. So this was kind of a mess, and then I wonder, it doesn't really say in the guidebook, but it looks like he didn't even do these, but then again, no other artist is mentioned. But yeah, and we get a lot of repeating art as well, like, for example, this one, but also the faces get repeated a lot. Agni is not really explained in the guide. This card is called Krishna, but it's not really explained in the guidebook why Agni is there, or maybe it is a little bit. The term Krishna translate as you are fire. Okay, which is not correct, but anyways, that's why they chose to have Agni depict this, but it's kind of weird. Also, judging from, I've had some interactions with him on Instagram because I really admire his work, and he was like, oh no, I'm never going to do that again. That's far behind me. And it really felt like there wasn't that much of an emotional connection to it. It felt very much like it felt like he was an artist for hire and he did his job. End of story, end of project. He never responds to people tagging him. He never likes posts with his work, Oracle deck work in it. So it's funny that, and I mean, I'm not mad at that at all, but it's funny that his work that gets used by thousands of people means a lot to us, the user, but apparently doesn't mean that much to him. And it doesn't have to, but it says a lot. So I believe that this very much is a case of Alana Fairchild writing a book. It's a very thick guidebook with a lot of wordy new age mumbo jumbo in there. Her writing a book, dumping it at her publisher, and then maybe not even her being involved in the art process at all, or picking or debating. I honestly feel like Blue Angel just says, just picks the art, creates the deck, does the graphic design for her, and releases it. And she's like, oh, that's for that book that I handed off a couple months ago, and now it's a deck. Okay, cool, let's promote it, and let's attach a couple of classes to it. That's kind of, I'm not saying verbatim, no, once again, I'm not an industry insider, so I wouldn't know, but that's how it comes off to me. Same with all of Angela Hartfield's decks. Well, not necessarily all, but especially the ones that she did together with Josephine Wall. I love Josephine Wall's art a lot. I like it a lot. I think it's really pretty. It's really evocative. It's really stunning. But honestly, guys, let's be honest. How much does the art actually have to do with whatever the hell is on the card? Not a lot. It's pretty art on a card with some text, but there is no co-creation to be had. There is no co-creation to be had. And once again, these are all decks that I kind of, well, I mean, I don't love them, but I kind of like playing with them every now and then. But these are not life-changing, earnest co-creations. This is very much, once again, at probably Angela Hartfield dropping off, Blue Angel going, hey, Angela, we sold some pretty good decks with you. We sold a lot. We kind of want, like, the people want more. They want new stuff. Can you think of a theme you'd like to write about, and then write 44, like, heartfelt messages? And then she'll probably do that, hand it over in her little Word document, and then probably Blue Angel will go looking for an artist and ask, hey, we kind of want to use 44 artworks by you. If we pay you this much amount of money, can we just pick a couple? And the artist will go, yeah, and if you give me a nice royalty deal to have my name featured on the box, you can pay me only this amount now, and I'll cash the rest in with royalties, because after all, this Angela Hartfield deck will probably sell a lot because people love that, and especially in combination with my drawings. But does the art correlate in any way? Sometimes it does, by chance. But does it correlate in any way to the story that is being told down here? Or is it explained in the guidebook? No. So, and once again, also with this writing, like I said, Doreen's writing with like her first couple decks felt pretty earnest. This is like Alana's 20,000th deck. This is Angela Hartfield's millionth deck. You know, you can kind of tell that the writing doesn't feel as earnest anymore and as discerning. So yeah, that's kind of that. Is it an earnest collab, or is it just an editor that's commissioning an author to write some messages and an artist to have access to their library of work? Because also, and that's where we're going to go into our second category, having access to a library of work for a set price is way cheaper than actually co-creating with an artist and saying, oh no, I kind of want the illustration to have like a cat and a dog and a little mouse, and because there's this story that I wrote that goes yada yada yada, and I want to see that in the card. That means that that artist will have to custom make 44 pieces of artwork. Whereas when you have access to a back catalog, you can just say, all right, I would like that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Thank you. And for the rest, we'll go to another artist. We've seen that before with Alana, for example, with the Divine Circus Oracle, which I also have, that has like little sets of 5. So it was really cherry-picked. You know, that's even cheaper probably because the amount you'll pay will be lower than, let's say, you have all 44 cards from that artist. And that brings us to the Lucy Cavendish decks, who I adore. I adore Lucy a lot. I think her writing has never felt stale to me, but then again, I haven't bought a new Lucy Cavendish deck in a while. She has a new one coming out, Solitary Witch, that looks kind of interesting, but we'll see. But I believe that all of these artworks, and we're getting good keywords here, good writing, earnest writing, and I do believe that maybe Lucy did sit down, probably digitally, with Jasmine and go, hey, let's look at your back catalog. Do you have some art about this? What fairy tale art do you have, or what could we use? I believe that may have happened, but I'm not quite sure about this. For the Fairy Tale Oracle, I think so. I think more so that happened. Yeah, funny, because this piece of art is not created around the juniper tree. This is actually a from her The Court of Unseelie series. So yeah, once again, some of it may have been custom created, but most of this is actually created. Most of this probably already existed before this deck was there. Do like it a lot. I like it a lot. We may never know, but I don't really feel like... I feel like Jasmine just, you know, paints all the time. People love her work. She can make a living off of it. So when you paint full-time, you can turn around lots of paintings in a year. And I feel like, I don't know why, this is all just gut feeling, but I feel like with Lucy, there is a bit more earnestness, where I do feel the randomness comes in a bit more is with the Oracle of Shadows and Light, as well as the Oracle of Shapeshifters. where, once again, I love this deck. This was the deck that gave me the confidence to read for others, and that gave me the confidence to read all together. Do kind of feel like this is shit that was just plucked from the vaults. And, you know, it's funny. I don't think Blue Angel will ever work with Jasmine again, because the vaults are now open. You can download all of these images for free. Creative Commons license. It's in the public domain now, guys. So you can just download all of these and create your own decks with them. And also, to be honest, I love this deck, but sometimes the keywords are a bit weird. For example, this card says out trick-or-treating, we're here. Also, the Into the Lonely Woods Oracle, that was all pre-existing artwork by Dan May. Very cleverly sold the artwork to Blue Angel, but not exclusively, and then turned around to US Games and used the exact same artwork to publish an exactly the same Oracle during the same period as the Lucy Cavendish deck was released. We never hear about this, but it's interesting. And once again, was this an earnest collaboration? Was there any back and forth? We will never know. For example, with Lucy's first Oracle deck with Blue Angel, which I don't have, but I'll probably get it one day. The Oracle of the Dragon Fae, I do feel like she was a bit more involved in the process. Now on to the next category. And I have a couple decks here that are art decks. Art decks are artificial to me, but there's two that kind of fall in between the between art deck and commissioned deck, and this is one of them. The Secrets of the Mystic Grove. I love it, really love it. This is a US Games deck, and you will see that a lot with US Games. For example, right now they have the Anne Stokes Gothic Oracle, where they will, once again, go into an artist. They will seek out artists they like, make a deal with them to have access to their back catalog, and then they will hire an author. For example, Arwen Lynch does this a lot, who is then tasked with, hey, we have 44 artworks here that we have access to, that we've sealed the deal on. Write a deck. Go write a deck. And you get lovely pictures. And I feel like Arwen really tries her best to turn these pieces of artwork into a cohesive deck. I've had the Garden Dragon deck by her before, which was also, you know, some artists that I already followed. I don't even think I follow them anymore. You know, and they just sell or license their artwork to this publisher, and then, you know, slap a keyword on it, write a couple keywords at the bottom. I've done this before. It's fun. But, you know, that's kind of where the discrepancy comes from, when we readers of tarot, who have, you know, worked really hard to learn a system that is hundreds of years old, have someone come along with a pack of cards like this that was just slapped. And I honestly, Martin gifted me this. I love this deck. I think it's a really cool deck. But the effort that went into it, into the production, even when you read the guidebook, I'm not going to read you whole passages now, but you'd think when you see this title, Secrets of the Mystic Grove, if I were to be asked, hey, can you write like a guidebook for it, instead of a one-page introduction and boom, straight into the cards, where there's also lots of empty space for notes after each card, come on. That's a great way to fill a page. However, the prompts are, the messages and journaling prompts are really good, so I'm not going to diss that. But I would have liked to have seen some world building here, maybe, not just an introduction and be done. So, you know, that it kind of feels a bit skewed. Can I say that? I don't know. Maybe people are going to hate me for it. I don't know. But it feels a bit skewed. Same with, and now we are actually heading more, but this is still commissioned, but we are still heading more into the art deck category. Alana Fairchild, again, how mindfully was the deck created? May have been written very mindfully, I don't know. But this is art by, what's his name again? I keep forgetting it. Andrew Gonzalez. Love it. This was all art that was already pre-existing. All the art in this deck was pre-existing. I feel like for this deck, and she does kind of describe the process in the guidebook, it was kind of the other way around. So I feel like they acquired the artworks, and then she wrote messages to the art. So this already feels a bit less inauthentic. But is it a deck created in co-creation? No, of course not. You know, this is, as a matter of fact, I feel like this makes a deck less cohesive because you're just going off of some artist's back catalog who obviously creates each work of art as a standalone piece, not to be used as a set of cards in cartomancy. And I have experienced, and the only reason why I still have the deck is because I adore the art. But I have experienced how incongruent readings with this deck are, because the messages are all over the place. The music album, though, that you can stream on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming service you use, fire. Really, really gorgeous ambient music. But yeah, like, once again, this is an art deck and a commissioned work in the sense of, and I don't know how this works. Like, maybe for this one it was an acquisitor of Blue Angel who finally managed to strike a deal with Andrew Gonzalez, going, yes, we can finally use his art, and then maybe contacting an author, probably their best-selling author, to write guidance to each and every piece of art. So it would be a killer deck. I don't know. But I would love to be a fly on the wall. But it kind of explains, though, right, why this doesn't feel as well thought out as a Perry Majesty Oracle, as a Threads of Fate Oracle, as a Grandmother's Oracle, which I don't even own, by the way, but I've heard people rave about it, as a Field Guide deck, as a Moon Guide deck. Name your Clairmax Faceted Garden and Illuminated Earth Oracle come to mind. Or my own Brother to Brother Oracle. Get it now. But does, that was created by one or two people in co-creation with self or spirit. No interventions of publishers. No one telling you, hey, maybe you should go for that artist because he's a hot seller right now. Although with some of the indie decks lately, we have been kind of seeing that, where it's like, ooh, she had a Kickstarter that went really well. Better talk to her. And I'm like, girl. No, but, like, it does kind of make sense, right? Because all the indie decks, most indie oracles were created with, you can feel the intention, you can feel the passion, and you can feel the co-creation. And with these commission decks and art decks, they feel kind of artificial. It feels kind of forced, and it does get worse, because I happen to have some low Scarabeo Oracle decks. For example, this Star Dragons Oracle, but you could interchange this with any Paolo Barbieri Oracle deck, because they're all the same. Who wrote the guidebook? Doesn't even say. Doesn't even say on the box. Probably on the back in small print. Nope. So then it was definitely a commissioned guidebook. Let's see who wrote it. Rachel Paul. And Rachel Paul really tried turning this into a system. Paolo Barbieri's art is always an art from art books. He makes art books, and Lo Scarabeo publishes those art books, and then Lo Scarabeo publishes those books, and then also can turn the books into decks. Problem is, Paolo only makes like 30 pieces of art, so that's why you get these small as hell 31 card decks. Oh man, I have a really great, another Alana Fairchild deck that does this as well. It's the Pegasus Oracle, where you can very clearly tell that the artist probably only created 30 Pegasus drawings, so they were like, Blue Angel was like, okay, that will do. But this was never meant to be a deck. It was meant to be art, and maybe these titles were the title, but you couldn't tell me what this art has to do with the keyword healing and restoring hope. You could not tell me what this art has to do with the keyword choice or culmination. Tranquility, maybe kind of, because they're meditating. Okay, that one kind of makes sense. Returning, going with the flow. I love the art. I mean, and the keywords are good, don't get me wrong, but you get these really slim decks with only a couple of cards. And you could tell that it was curated. And curating is different from creating. And curating can be an art form too. But not when it's done like this. No. Another one. And the Angelarium comes to mind as well by Peter Moorbacher. But this one is the Mausolea, illustrated by Jason Engel. Also, no author mentioned on the box, so there's definitely not going to be royalties being earned here. This is just going to be under Engel, and he's going to get all the royalties from the deck. Rabbit Stoddard, additional writing by Jason Engel. Okay, so he did write a little bit. Once again, stunning art. Really usable. I use this kind of as a spread machine. Because we get, so all these names at the top, that is what Jason Engel already used on his website. And then these keywords were kind of thought up, I think, by the author, by the deck writer. Gorgeous art. But it was like an online project about him painting all the deities that had something to do with the underworld. It was never intended to be a deck of cards with a divination system. And I have to commend the authors that Los Scarabeo commissions, because they do actually, most of the time, try to make it work. They have to work with what they got. But, you know, it feels artificial. It feels forced. We're forcing something that was just meant to be art into a divination system, and you know, and also the quality is usually really bad. Like for their Oracle decks, they kind of have to step up their game. At least this one has 36 cards. This has 33, and I believe the Zodiac one has like 24. So yeah, that is, I think, why Oracle decks suck. And we haven't even talked about the writing process yet, but this is just the creation, the way those decks are being created in the mass market, and we're seeing less and less of it now. But I feel like that is a big part of why it feels artificial. But let me tell you, it's not that different with mass market tarot decks either. Although it is less prevalent, but I know that, for example, Llewellyn will have, well, to be honest, it's less bad, but it's like some author will write the deck, so they will write a description of what the card needs to look like. It will be like a little page-long story, and then they will send that to an artist who then draws that. And I believe that there will be some sort of back and forth. So that does already feel more like co-creation. But in the Oracle deck world, it's a free-for-all. Especially with the bigger Oracle deck platforms. Although I have to say with Hay House, kind of depends with their like, Hay House is kind of branching out. So we have the cool, hey, this was a successful Kickstarter, let's pick them up, or this was a cool like indie creator, let's try them out, versus the old crew, the Colettes, the Radleys, the Doreens, but, you know, the Sonia Choquettes. So I feel like with this crew, there is more, the Kyle Grays, there is more form of co-creation, but I feel like, for example, with a lot of Kyle Gray decks, I feel like Once again, he writes the deck and the messages and what's supposed to be on the card, and then they just look for an artist. Maybe he'll approve a couple of works of art, and then it's just go, because it needs to be ready to be pumped out. I honestly intuitively feel like that's kind of how it goes. And also, a lot of the times, their writing is very one-sided. So I do have to commend the author of this Mausolea Oracle of Souls deck for something, because they don't get lots of words here. But the deck is kind of divided into different... the deck is kind of divided into different themes, different suits that have like certain meaning, and then each card has like a couple of keywords or domains, and it's at least they're trying. But usually we're talking about the Alana Fairchilds, the Angela Hartfields of the world, the Rita Pietro Santos of the world. It's literally not that deep, so yeah, that is why Oracle decks suck. Thank God we've got these amazing indie efforts, and also quite a lot of like really good mass market efforts that are really ingenuous and cool, and that I have a lot of too. But the ones I showed just now, they are kind of, most of them, Angela Hartfield, Doreen, Alana, Lucy, Aaron Lynch, they are kind of the heavy hitters in the mass market deck publishing realm. So that is probably what people's minds go to whenever they hear Oracle deck. They kind of go to a Doreen Virtue-esque, or Lucy Cavendish-esque, or Alana Fairchild-esque, or Colette Baron Reed-esque style of cards. So, when you purchase your next deck, believe me, when you start noticing the patterns, because believe it or not, I enjoy all of these that I've just shown you. But when you kind of start seeing the patterns, it becomes really difficult to like unsee them. So maybe you kind of want to stay in the dark. But I would always like to point out that it's good to be discerning when it comes to, is it an earnest collab or is it just a commissioned piece of work? And there's nothing wrong with a commission, because you can do a lot, but you can also choose to go the lazy route. But then again, the market is really tight. All these authors and artists also have to eat, so I get it. But you can make that informed decision for yourself. Is it an art deck? Is it art that's being forced into an Oracle system, or did it exist from the urge of deck creation? And is there intention, passion, and creation or co-creation involved? And those are kind of my things, because I have an example of where that happens, but where it kind of goes wrong with the art. This is the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. I used to love it when she still worked with Jimmy for Blue Angel, but she shifted to Rockpool. And this definitely wasn't commissioned work, so she really works together with this artist. And Stacey is a pretty good Oracle deck writer who kind of, she knows how to write a deck that's usable, not too deep, but gives like some interesting information. And I like her decks. I don't really like her Rockpool decks, because once the art isn't commissioned anymore and it is co-creation, we see that it kind of becomes a budget issue, and we kind of see, I don't know if you guys see it, but we kind of see a cheapening of the artistic quality. Although there are some really dope cards in here. But it does reek of, I love this Hypnos card. Love it. But it does feel a little cheapened, if you get what I'm saying. But it is an earnest co-creation. This is not, just some new age woman clawing through the back catalog of an artist going, hey, I want that, and that, thank you, goodbye. or even worse, a publisher just randomly doing that and then just slapping it onto a card, randomly putting some words on it that some author wrote. Anyways, when you make your purchases, be discerning. Once again, everything I've shown here I love, but I'm a critical consumer and I wish to educate the masses. So thanks for watching and goodbye.